Life is really about not always trying to be ahead of the curve. I mean, that's the goal, but sometimes your reaction to things and how you pivot and move when things happen is also huge and a big deal as well.
So money is all I think of. Money on my mind, 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 so money is all I think of.
Alrighty. We are back for another episode, and this is Financial State of Mind, and I am your host, Darrin Harvey. And this is the show where we help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and grow that bag as best as possible as we discuss financial business literacy and anything and everything to do with the almighty power of the dollar. And you're tapped into KGPC 96.9 FM, streaming right now on kgpc969.org and on all available streaming platforms of choice. And today we have another very special guest. We're back to back. We brought in my adopted sister in the previous episode, and today we got my adopted uncle in the building. Will Brown is in the building finally after over a year of trying to get this man in this dang seat. Man, this ain't, I'm not out here doing crazy things, man. I'm not going to have you talking about no politics, but we finally got him here. Will Brown is in the building. How you doing today, Will?
Good morning, everyone. Doing good, man. No complaints. It's almost Friday. Glad to be on your show, man. Love your show, and grateful to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring on you because, obviously, other than the fact that you're my adopted uncle, you got a little story, and then that leads to what you do today, which is you're in the financial world along with myself. But before we get into that, I just want to jump right into your story. So I'm going to ask the first question. Who is Will Brown?
Good question. Very good question. Well, I guess we'll start at the beginning. Humble beginnings. Born and raised here in Oakland, deep East Oakland, and humble beginnings. Born and raised here, went to school here. We know Oakland, has a reputation, and a lot of people say that there's a lot of negativity here. I'd like to think of growing up here, just reminiscing on my childhood, kind of like a car battery. You have a positive and a negative, and you need both the negative charge and the positive charge to run that car. Definitely some negative experiences there, some positive experiences. For me, just speaking for myself, the positive experiences definitely outweigh the negative. I like to think that even in the negative situations and the negativity, there's still some positivity there. So I didn't grow up super rich, didn't grow up poor either. I like to think of myself somewhere in the middle. And I have fond memories of growing up here. And it's funny that you asked that, because as I was driving into the studio this morning, I remember just a lot of fond memories came to mind, and I was reminiscing on just growing up here, stuff I used to do and places I used to go and frequent, things like that. I mean, a lot has changed, obviously, over the years, but I'm definitely proud of being rooted and saying that I'm rooted here from Oakland.
Yeah, so you're definitely from the town.
Right.
I know you didn't go to college or get your degrees in the town, so where'd you end up going to college?
So after high school, I decided that I needed to change the scenery. So I ended up going away to school with a few friends of mine, ended up going to Xavier University in Louisiana. I had to have my life, man, down in New Orleans. Yeah. I actually have family down south, rooted down south as well. I spent some time down south for a couple of years. Needed to change the scenery, wanted to digress, and got that experience, and then kind of dawned on me I need to be a little bit more serious about college and what I'm doing and also my future. So I ended up transferring back to the Bay and finishing up here at San Francisco State, just right across the bridge, with a science degree.
Okay.
So I got a science background.
Okay. So I know you got the science degree, but when you looked on your LinkedIn, there's a little JD next to it. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So let me give you a little story. After I got my science degree from San Francisco State, I ended up working in biotech for a little while and kind of did that for maybe 8-9 years. And I had this great idea to combine science and law. I saw that there weren't a lot of attorneys that have science backgrounds. So I thought it would be a great idea to be a bridge to both. Maybe try to be an intellectual property attorney or even a patent attorney. And previous to that, while I was in college, I had actually worked at a law firm. So I was clerked at a law firm, serving subpoenas, going to courthouse, things like that. So I was very familiar with the legal system and how it worked and then the ins and outs of that. See, Berkeley at the time had a paralegal certificate program. I think it was like a year or 9 months or a year. So I did that, did well, got my paralegal certificate, and decided to go on to law school from there. So I took the LSAT, did pretty good, entered into a part-time program in the evening while I worked full-time during the day, and ended up getting a law degree with honors.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So did you end up practicing? And so what did you practice in?
Didn't end up practicing after graduation. Life happened. A year after I graduated from law school, my oldest son was about maybe 3 or 4. My dad ended up getting sick. I had to take care of him. The relationship with my oldest son's mother ended up dissolving. And so, like I said, life happened. There were a lot of outside distractions, and never really passed the bar. I took it maybe 2 or 3 times. The last time came very, very close, but I said, you know what? I have a law degree. I know a lot of people that don't practice but can still do well for themselves. And so I ended up moving forward, pivoting and leveraging my law degree and doing some other things.
Yeah, I totally understand. And that is something I think people don't know about is a lot of people who have law degrees don't end up going into law.
True.
That is the thing. They still do, like you said, they do great. A lot of them do great.
Yeah.
Just having that understanding and that education of law can be very important and empowering when it comes to the world of corporate America and entrepreneurship as a whole.
Yep.
So you decide not to go in law because life happens, and I totally understand. Mm-hmm. So what is your next career-focused move now that you decided that you're not going into law?
Well, I've done a number of things since obtaining my law degree. After that, I went into retail, and so I did a little bit of that. So after biotech, did a little bit of law. I worked for a couple of firms here and there. And kind of when the 08, 09 market crashed, I had to pivot again. Life is really about not always trying to be ahead of the curve. I mean, that's the goal. But sometimes your reaction to things and how you pivot and move when things happen is also huge and a big deal as well. So after that crash, after working for firms, I ended up going into retail. And then that's how I ended up at Martindale Nolo, and I think that was like 2014, 2015, and that's kind of when you and I met, and we got into legal marketing and things like that.
Yeah, so, yep, that's where we met. Crazy how in the previous episode, Stephanie, who was here, who you know, same thing. We all were working together at one point, but me and you were first. We were literally, I think it was, you came, I think, literally right before me. I think you came literally a month before me.
Yep.
I think it was David, Eva, Janice. Was there anyone else at that point?
I don't think so.
I think, yeah. And then I came
Faith.
right behind. So, and we were the founding members of the account manager department,
right.
Us 5. And, we were definitely a tight-knit team. Don't know how I still think, I don't know how. Well, first off, I don't know how I survived 5 years there. I don't know how you survived even longer than that with all the challenges that we faced at Martindale Nolo. But I always say that I had worked at Legal Match.
Right.
For about 10 months or so, around a year. And then David left Legal Match. He got me into Legal Match. Mm-hmm. He left Legal Match to go to Nolo because there was no opportunity of growth.
Right.
He basically took me over. And Legal Match was my introduction to the world of law and business.
Right.
Martindale Nolo was my foundation and my grounding, and really is the reason why I'm business-minded.
Gotcha.
That, along with my situation with my dad, listeners know he ended up catching a case of the Alzheimer's, unfortunately.
Right.
And that kept me at Nolo as well. More importantly, of course, this being a financial business show, I always say this, attorneys taught me business. Mm-hmm. Attorneys taught me business. Not only did they kind of teach me it, but they gave me the confidence and they gave me the modeling. Like, hey, now I know people who are, some of these people as more millionaires.
Yes, that's true.
Some of these guys are solo guys making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was able to have conversations with them. I was able to pick their brain. And one thing about attorneys is, like me, like you, they like to talk, especially about themselves. So I learned so much. But we're at Martindale, and I remember even then, we were talking about business. We were talking about doing your own thing. And before me, I think at that point, you had already started doing your own books and publishing. So talk about that. What do you do on that side?
So before I get into the publishing, I kind of want to go back and talk about the business side, the law and business side, if I may, just a couple of points.
Sure.
The crazy part about it is in law school or whatever professional school you go to, they really don't teach you business.
Right.
You kind of learn as you go. It's really by experience. Sometimes you have some folks that are just business savvy.
Right.
And they happen to have professional degrees. But I agree with you that law and business together, they're two powerful tools. And I learned a lot from a lot of attorneys, even prior to that, having worked for a lot of different types of companies, even some big names just on the global set. I learned a lot about business and how things work and operate. So I can definitely kind of co-sign and agree with you on that. Like Martindale Nolo was the foundation and the training ground for law and business. So definitely a great point there.
Yeah, so one story, I think I may have shared this in a previous episode, but I'll share it again. This was back in a legal match. Mm-hmm. And the first attorney I can remember who really was like giving me game, I can't remember this guy's name. I'm so mad at myself. I can't remember his name, but I remember he was a family law attorney and he was in the East Coast. And he was a loony guy. He was a loony guy. He was big in the conspiracies. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget one of the quotes he said, Darrin, of everything I think is going on right now with the way the world's going, I think World War III is going to happen. I think some aliens are going to come. Some crazy going to happen, but I don't care. I'm just trying to get out here making enough money to make sure that me and my family are taken care of and bunkered down whenever the ceiling hits the fan or whenever things go left. I'm going to be prepared. And he was like loony crazy, but he was just giving me game. And I have so many funny stories. I might have to just have an episode with you and Stephanie where we just all chit chat about some of the craziest stories we've heard from attorneys and stuff like that, because
oh my God,
I've heard some crazy stuff, but I've gotten a lot of good game and good insight from them. And yeah, I really think that if you're currently an entrepreneur, you're in business, or even a high level in corporate America, and you want to get an edge on the game, the edge on the crowd, learn a bit about how law works. Mm-hmm. You don't need to know the ins and outs of law itself.
Right.
But really what I took away from law is there are rules, and the lawyer's job is to find a way around those rules.
Yep.
Either to educate you on the rules, and if there's a way to find a way around the rules, we're going to find a way. Right. That's probably the most powerful mindset the lawyers and attorneys gave me, because basically they taught me whatever is there, whatever a roadblock is there, whatever thing that is saying that you can't do it or you shouldn't do it, and this is why. No, there is a way you can go about doing it.
Right.
You just got to go.
Right.
Just go look. And the amount of things I've been able to find out about and find and experience just because of that mindset is priceless. Yep. Literally priceless. So definitely, listeners, go find yourself a lawyer friend, or go find someone else who has lawyers in their back pocket and stuff like that. But anyways, I left around 2020. I know you left a little bit later, but I do want you to talk about when I met you, other than the fact that you told me your age and I absolutely didn't believe you. I remember that. You let me know that you were slinging some books on this side. So tell me about that.
So ever since I can remember, I've always been a good writer all throughout elementary school, in college, whether it's legal writing, expository writing. All my teachers and professors and instructors have always told me that you got some pretty good writing skills. And it's funny because English was not really my strong subject in school. Math was. The analyticals and math and science was, obviously. But I've always had this affinity for writing. And so I believe we're probably about maybe 12, 13 years in now. I did start our own publishing company, Christian publishing company. And we create, publish, distribute, and publish Christian literature, inspirational literature around the world. Currently, we have 7 books out, and I believe 3 of those are in the top Amazon 100, 1 bestseller. And I'm working on, I can't talk too much about it, but I am working on some new material now, something that we've never done before. I got a couple books coming out. Along with that, it's not just publishing books, but we've also expanded our services to help other authors, both veteran seasoned authors, as well as those who are newly published. We're helping them get their books on platforms like Amazon, KDP, Ingram Spark, Apple iBooks, and things of that nature. So we've expanded. We're growing daily. We've expanded not just the brand in terms of the books that we write and publish, but also the services. And that's kind of our way of reaching back and helping authors and publishers out as well.
So you said Christian books or Christian writings, but you had been writing for, I didn't even know that, for, you said 12, 13 years. Why that subject? Why not true crime? Or why not your life and times in East Oakland?
Well, there's still some time. There's still some time.
Why not the Adventures of Will Brown on the block?
Bestseller, right?
Yeah. But
New York Times.
Yeah. So, like, what makes you decide Christian writing? Like, what makes you decide that?
I'm very active in my church, very active in ministry. My wife and my family are, and we believe that we've been called to write and publish this particular subject and subject matter and this type of literature. Obviously, I'm not necessarily confined to that. I do have some ideas about writing some other types of literature with certain themes like hope and faith, doing some fiction, some Christian fiction, writing crime stories and things like that. So I've entertained the thought, I just haven't put the pen down to the paper, so to speak. But it is a thought. It's just a matter of time before we end up getting there. After doing a little research, we noticed that books that are inspirational and devotionals and things like that are typically very popular among people. Just like a quick reference or a quick devotional before you start your day or on your lunch or things like that. Those books tend to do very well. So we wanted to target that market and that audience and capture that before we obviously expand the writing and the literature.
Got you. So you're slinging the good work on the side. You're at Martindale Nolo, and I'll just say you're there way too long,
Right.
Just like I was. They're way too long, but eventually you do move on, and then you move on to where I went,
Right.
which is Rapid Legal, and we were there for a short stint, and then we parted ways with Rapid Legal pretty closely.
Right.
We literally came in together within a couple of months apart,
Right.
and we left together within a
Right.
couple of months apart.
Exactly.
And then I remember that day, you listeners, me and Unc, we talk probably weekly, is on average, is
Right.
weekly at least.
Right.
So I remember the day you gave me a ring, and then you said that you landed a job in the world of finance. And at that point, I think I had been, this was last year, right? When you started there?
Yes.
Yes, this show had already been going for 2 years. So I'm already had converted into personal finance at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then this wasn't a plan, right? Or we didn't have a talk about, when we're at Nolo, like, hey, we're
Right.
going to like lead the legal
Right.
sales and then both go into finance. Like, guys, we weren't being in the Avengers at that point, or we weren't being Batman and Robin at that point at all.
Exactly.
No, it just kind of worked out that way. But tell me about that. You end up leaving Rapid Legal, and then you got this opportunity. And tell me about that experience.
Sure. So I'll tell you about the experience, and then I'll give you the backstory, because there's always a backstory to an event in life or things that happen in life. So
Yeah.
after I left Rapid Legal, I think that was about a couple of years ago, about a year after that, I had been picked up by a company called Northwestern Mutual. And they saw me on LinkedIn. They liked my profile, et cetera. And so I ended up signing on with them. Now, just prior to that, I believe like a few months before that, I had taken the California insurance producer test and nailed it like on the first shot. Even when I was working to go back a little bit more in terms of history, even while we were working at Martindale Nolo Internet Brands, I would get a lot of DMs and LinkedIn hits about, hey, Will, you'd be great if you do an insurance. And I would get hits from New York Life and State Farm and Farmers and all these different folks. And I was like, I'm good. You kind of hinted on it earlier, like, we were comfortable. We're good. We're insulated. We got steady paychecks. Everything's going
Right.
well. It's like, I'm not interested, maybe a little later. And so that had ended and had gone through Rapid Legal. And all of a sudden, this opportunity had presented itself, and I literally jumped on it. Now, back to my childhood, I've always been interested in investing. And I can even remember vividly from my high school years, specifically my senior year in high school, taking a government and economics class. And part of our economics class, there was a stock market kind of segment to it. And I loved it. And I did really well on that project. And it kind of followed me, obviously, throughout the years. And so I've always loved investing, as you and I talk often about that. I've always been into real estate, whether it was a building, commercial, residential. So I've always kind of had this thing on the back burner in terms of investing and finance and things like that, even though I've done all these other things in life. I've done biotech and law. And so now I kind of feel like I'm at home. I've kind of found my place and my footing, and, I'm excited about it, and I like what I'm doing now.
And that's important that you enjoy what you're doing.
Sure.
So how long were you said it was Northwest Mutual, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how long were you there?
I would say about 9 or 10 months.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then you end up parting ways with them because you just want to do things on your own.
Correct.
Yeah. Got you. And I understand the situation, but it's going to be hard for you to compete when you have literal people who can sell not just from there, but literally hundreds of agencies that sell life insurance and sell other services and products like that too, that you would have a challenge because that's the reality. And that's kind of what's common, especially on the internet, especially on social media. Like when you see these guys advertising or see these guys talking, it's never just one.
Right.
Sometimes there is. I just saw an interview where one lady was just from one specific firm, but more times than not, these guys are partnering up with many different agencies and stuff like that. So you're in a similar lane as me, but not quite the same.
Right.
So for listeners who don't know, I am a financial planner. I do plans, and a coach, but I don't sell any products or services like life insurance, like annuities, anything like that. I'm relatively educated, more than the average person, but less than, say, someone maybe like Will. But I don't do that stuff. And I chose not to do it for the time being. Mainly, realistically, I didn't want to do the test. That's it. That's the real reason.
You nail it.
And
trust me.
I know I will, but I don't think I've ever shared this. I'm not sure if I shared this to you, but I tried to take the online classes for the test, who's also a broker.
Right.
He was basically trying to recruit me. And I told him I never wanted to sell it. I just want to be a referral partner. And he was fine with that. And he was helping me through it. And the classes the online class system that he wanted me to go through was not compatible with my accessibility software. And basically, I tried to get a refund.
I see.
They wouldn't give me a refund. Or sorry, it was like a joke of a refund. It was like, let's just say it cost me $100. They would give me like $20.
Yeah.
So that really turned me off.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, you know what? I can make just as much money just doing these plans and stuff like that.
Right.
And the other thing, too, is another reason I'm glad that you went independent is when you're under a structure like a Northwest or any of the big companies directly, at the end of the day, it's the same thing as sales. You got quotas to hit. You got to do calls. I'm sure there's KPIs you got to hit just to show that you're trying and working and stuff like that. And one, that's stressful to some people like us. That's stressful in the world of sales. But two, it always conflicts with the integrity of what you're trying to do. So what so kind of give an example. Okay, everyone's trying to make money. Everyone's trying to eat. So you can't totally avoid it.
Sure.
But if I know someone who's a broker who already is a multimillionaire is trying to sell me life insurance compared to somebody like you or at the time when you were there or somebody who's working at one single agency, I'm going to feel a little bit more trusted with the person who's a millionaire trying to sell me life insurance because I know he doesn't need the money. I know he's not trying to survive and hit a number compared to other people who are stuck within financial institutes like that.
Right.
So there's an easier layer of trust that I can build with said person. I would even say that's true with just a broker. Hey, Darrin, I'm not going to just give you this one product from this one company. I have literally 100 options with these 100 different companies, and I'm just going to give you what I think is the best one, which is why I always tell people I'm not totally against people working for big companies like that. I've met them. Some of them are great people. They wouldn't take advantage of you, but just without you meeting them and you just only had a biography or only had like a summary to read, I'm going to inherently trust the person who's on their own. Because they can control and they're not being dictated by a power that be how many plans they have to sell or you're going to get fired or something like that. So, but that's why I stayed. And mainly I want to stay in the education. I want to educate people. That's why I have this podcast. That's why my one-on-one plans are educational. And if you get me one-on-one, our clients will tell you, you're basically getting a therapy session. Because so much of personal finance is tied to mental and behavioral health. So I'm a planner. I focus on the education. Like you, I know a little bit. I'm a kind of a jack of all trades. I'm not a specialist in any particular thing other than I would say credit. Credit, I would say I'm a guru. I'm a specialist. I really understand credit, how it works, and how you can leverage it. Mm-hmm. That's my specialty. That's it for now. You have a different specialty. I know, like you just mentioned it, you can sell life insurance. You can sell other type of products. So let's talk more about that for the remaining amount of time. And before we talk about that, I do want to remind the listeners, you are listening to Darrin Harvey at Financial State of Minds, KGPC 96.9 FM. I'm here with my uncle, Will Brown, over here as we're discussing business and finance and good old the world of personal finance and stuff like that and investing. So before I get into life insurance and stuff like that, you mentioned something earlier. You were always interested in investing in the stock market and stuff like that.
Sure.
So let's have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna change it up. I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes, hopefully. Stock market or real estate? If you had to pick one, where would you go?
Oh, man. Is there a lifeline? Can I get a lifeline? Can I call somebody to get a lifeline?
Sorry. Phones are on silent. Phones are on silent. Real estate? Well, let me make the question more specific. Take an average person. Mm-hmm. They get $1 million.
Okay.
Let's say it's inheritance.
Sure.
$1 million liquid cash. Where are you telling that person to invest that money?
$1 million.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and let's make it more interesting. They're in Texas. They're in Nevada. They're in North Carolina. They're in the South. Okay. Where are you telling them to invest that money?
That's a good question. I think I would first start off by asking them, just doing an assessment. Hey, what are your finances like? What do you got coming in? What do you got going out? What do your current investments look like? How are those working out for you? And then based on that, what do they feel comfortable with? Obviously, there's some good deals outside of the state in terms of real estate. We know the market right now is what the market is. There's still some good deals to be had there. Mm-hmm. And that story is still yet to be told. But I think I would probably defer, if you were my client sitting in front of me, I would go through that assessment and ask, what's your comfort level? Figure out what your tolerance level is, what your risk tolerance is, right, and then go from there. I think the better question is, if that were me, if you had $1 million, what would you invest in?
So answer that question for me. Will, your situation, I know your situation. You don't have to divulge everything to the audience.
Right.
But I know your situation. You just got to check for $1 million and you're debt-free already.
I'm already debt-free.
You're already debt-free. You don't have no emergency fund, wherever your investments are right now.
Sure.
But you're debt-free already, $1 million. What are you doing?
I think I would do a hybrid of both. I like hybrids, as you know. I would do a little bit of both. I think my start would be in the stock market.
Okay.
That's where I would start.
Okay.
That's where I would start.
Would you do index funds? Would you just do single shares? Would you do day trading? Would you do options? What would you do?
Probably single shares. That's what I'm most comfortable and familiar with.
Got it. Yeah, any particular company?
That's a good one. Like NASDAQ 100, NASDAQ 50.
I mean, that's technically an index fund.
Index funds, yeah.
Yeah, that's index.
Yeah, index funds.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds like you got another $500,000. What are you doing with it?
I may do a little digital assets, cryptocurrency.
How much of that $500,000?
Something small, not significant, but not too big. Something kind of like right in the middle, maybe $100,000.
Okay. So you got $400,000 left. What are you doing?
Good question. Maybe a high yield savings.
Okay. So you put, let's say I can give you an account that has 4%. Let's say 3.7, 3.8. Mm-hmm. You're going to put $400,000 there?
I would say the majority of that, yes.
Okay. Yep. Why not put that $400,000 or more of that money somewhere else?
Good question. Where else would we put it? Other than real estate. Like I said, we're going to do real estate a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so I was going to open you up and say you can do real estate, but if you don't want to, okay. So, I'll answer this question. So you asked me what else can you do with it. I'll answer the same question for my situation, and I'll set it up. Darrin Harvey, Bonnie McFly over here, the money counselor. He is debt free.
Mm-hmm.
I have 6 figures tucked away. I won't say the number.
Right.
But I have 6 figures tucked away already. Someone handed me $1 million. If I am excluding real estate, because that's what you did, you excluded real estate. Right. Excluding real estate, I would put at least half into. I would put at least half into the universal life insurance that you know about.
Okay.
I put half into the one that I already have.
Gotcha.
I put about $300,000 to $400,000.
Okay.
The other $400,000 will be in a whole life.
Okay.
Now I have $200,000 lying around.
Right.
$200,000 at that point, I would put $50,000 into crypto, Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy a coin. I think coins are right now, a full coin for Bitcoin is about $100,000.
Correct.
At least.
It's gone. Mm-hmm.
So not a full coin, but I put about 50, maybe a full coin, 50 to 100,000 to Bitcoin, so I can have one or half of one, and then that remaining 100,000, probably 50,000 will be in a CD.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a little bit bump, so
Right.
it wouldn't be 3.8, probably like a 4.2, and then the other 50,000, tuck it away for a future wedding.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
So if I had kids, for sure, they would go into kids plans with the life insurance policies, and I'm setting you up for a reason. The thing with the life insurance policy is I would leverage the whole life policies and then just invest more with the whole life policies. So I'm literally earning money on the money that I'm borrowing.
Right.
The universal, that's basically the equivalent of putting it in an S&P 500.
Right.
But then I can borrow against it if I want to buy property.
Correct.
And then the remaining amount of money is just there, just whatever. If it makes money, great. If not, I'm not worried about it.
Right.
So that's what I would do with that money, not being able to invest it in real estate. That's what I would do.
Right.
I never would have more than 6 months worth of emergency funds. So that for me, that's about 50. It's not even really 50,000. It's less, but 50,000, nice number that I just want in cash at all times, just in case something happens. But no more than 50,000 for my situation. I would say for you, and I know your situation, you would need more than 50,000.
Right.
But I think you don't need much more because most of your kids are grown. You only have, my understanding is you only have one kid that's an actual kid, right? Like everybody else is like either old teenagers or straight up young adults.
Exactly. The irony behind that is that those who have kids, your older kids typically need more help than the younger ones.
Really? I want to hear that argument. Why do you think so?
I just think that it's a different time and age than when I was growing up. Obviously, when you were growing up, I think things are a lot tougher. Mm-hmm. Things are obviously more expensive. And maybe I come back on the show and we can talk about the economic state. I mean, it's obviously the landscape has obviously changed. But I'm just basing things on my experience.
Right.
My own experience.
Right. This is a disclaimer. This is not advice for everybody else. That's why I said this is for Will or me. This is, please don't take $1 million and do exactly what I said. Though it's not the basis of it is not a bad idea. If you get $1 million, please reach out to one of us or some trusted source, because we want to make sure that you don't burn through the money, which is what the average person does.
Correct.
I want to talk about that further because I would actually argue and say that a kid needs more financial support. Keyword, needs more financial support as a child compared to as an adult. Mm-hmm. I understand, like the only expense I can really think of that's humongous lump sum needed for a child of 18 or 19 is college. And for me, I made an episode 53. Is college worth the ROI? Please check that episode out for reference, listeners. But the 2-sentence summary is, don't go to college unless it's a STEM degree, and don't pay more than what you would earn in the first year entry level.
Yeah.
So if I'm kind of already in this situation with my life insurance, my niece and nephew, my girl's son, they're already set up. Like if I die, God forbid, if I die, knock on wood, all these guys have six figures. Right. Just donezo. That's and good. I'm actually going to
reallocate,
amend the will and the trust and the power of attorney for finances.
Sure.
To where they can't even touch it until they do certain requirements.
Yeah.
So guess what? my niece and nephew and the people who are going to get some of my money, the kids in my life who are going to get some of my money, these guys will not get the money without doing something. I haven't figured out quite yet, but I'm thinking these guys got to work 5 years. These guys got to go to college, whether it's community or something. They maybe got to learn a trade, and they have to show and survive before they even get the money.
Yeah, put some stipulations and some conditions in there.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because for anyone who consumes my content, I agree that Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and Gen Beta is anyone who was born this year moving forward. Those 3 generations objectively do have it tougher when it comes to getting a job, making money, and buying a house. They do have it tougher than even my generation, millennials, your generation, boomers, silent. It's tougher. I'm not going to argue that. It's not impossible.
Right.
I want to help people and give them a push. I'm not here for people to do nothing.
Right.
Because what I've learned is that if you give the money to somebody who really has not worked for anything, they're more likely to, one, not appreciate it, and really they're more likely to blow it.
You're right.
They're more likely to blow it.
Right.
So that was fun, and that kind of gives the audience an idea of our styles and stuff like that. But I just did that because you said that you're interested in investing, and I wanted to show, and I'm going to pass this on to you,
Sure.
is that you can leverage life insurance as a form of investing. So I have done that through the universal life insurance policy that I have. But I want you to talk about more of life insurance in general. I think most people know about death insurance is what I call it. Death insurance is just you die, you get a lump sum of money.
Right.
So you don't have to explain that. Everybody knows that. What other things, though, that people are not thinking about when they hear life insurance? As someone who sells life insurance, what do you think people do not think about when it comes to life insurance? Because they think about death insurance.
Right.
What do they not think about?
Right. I think for me and from my perspective, and just based on my year or two experience in being in this industry, I think people, even myself, didn't think about life insurance as part of your estate planning. People tend to miss the fact that there's death insurance, but there's also living benefits, as you just described, with the various policies that are out there. It's not a one-size-fit-all. Everyone's needs are different because everyone's at different stages in their lives. There is a product for you. We just have to do a little research, gather some information, and put you in the right vehicle. The other thing I want to co-sign on, just in terms of life insurance, is that it is not only part of the estate planning process, but it is also part of the financial planning process, which is the broader umbrella. And so just those 2 points, and having the education, which you talk about, which is a very powerful tool. You need that education to do any of this stuff.
Right.
There's lots of stuff on the web and the internet, but aligning yourself with a professional who has the experience and who knows what they're talking about is key. It is pivotal.
So all good points. We just really showed how you can use life insurance more than just death insurance, which was basically the point of that exercise. But there's other things people can invest in. So let's throw out everything we already talked about. We talked about cryptocurrency. Let's throw about that. That's what everybody talks about.
Right.
And I get why. People talk about gold over. That's talked about. It's doing great. Let's throw that out the window. We talked about the stock market, and people know about real estate.
Yep.
What other stuff can you help people with when it comes to investing with your situation? Like, because there's more than just life insurance that you can sell.
Right. I mean, obviously, you can invest in yourself. Buffett talks about that all the time. You can invest in yourself, take courses and classes and better yourself, improve or increase your skill set, get certifications, things like that. Investing in human energy and workforce, to me, is great. It's great on a humanitarian level as well as a workforce level. So you can do that. You can invest. We talked about stocks, investing in companies, and things like that. Gold, silver, obviously. I mean, there's quite a number of things that you can invest your money in and put your money in. For me, I like investing in people, and human resources.
And that's true. I think I want to mention, too, like treasuries and bonds and stuff like that.
That's another one, yeah.
That's a one that's very basically guaranteed return on your investment. A little bit higher than a CD or a money market savings account, too. And those are basically your borrowers that United States government in
Right.
those situations.
Yep.
So people, I want to say this. I know you're hearing news about, the United States is in all this debt and we've been downgraded from AAA to AA, and oh my God, the United States is going to give you your money back.
Right.
Like, United States is going to give you money back. You may not get it back on this day, but they're going to give you your money back. I would not bet against the United States of America, period, when it comes to economics or capitalism. I would not bet against it, even with all the hoopla.
Right.
Treasury, bonds,
Notes.
Yep, too. That's what I'm trying to think of. Other ways that you can invest that isn't just stocks and crypto and gold and real estate, because those are the big four I hear on the internet at this point.
Right.
And people want to invest. People want to invest their money, but they got to get themselves out of debt. As I say it in every dang episode, I feel like got to get yourself out of debt. Make sure that you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, stuff like that. You're going to have to come back for a part 2. Great conversation as always, Will.
Yep.
I appreciate you coming in. This is Darrin Harvey of Financial State of Minds, and you've been tuned in to KGPC 96.9 FM. And this is a show where I help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and grow that bag as best as possible. Until next time, you guys. Peace.
Take care.